Hello grade 12 students and welcome to a new technical English 3 lesson. Our lesson today will be unit 7, lesson 2 part 2, instance part 2, coursebook pages 55, workbook page 35. Please open your books and let's start our lesson. Let's start our lesson with the objectives of today's lesson. After studying this lesson, you will be able to practice using the past continuous and past simple with when, while, as for interrupted actions. Use prompts to form sentences using the past continuous and the past simple. Now let's move to our starter. Our starter today is a revision of the previous lesson. Match the words and phrases in the box with their definitions 1 to 8. You can find this exercise in your workbook, page 35. All you have to do is to stop the video, complete the sentences, and when you finish, play the video again to check your answers. You can start now. Now let's check your answers. Number 1. A horizontal space in which objects can be detected. What is the answer? Great, detection zone. Number 2, an area around an object that has magnetic power. It is the magnetic field. A short electric current caused by the collapse of the magnetic field in the coil. Reflected pulse. A flow of electricity that moves in one direction only. Direct current. Great. A wire arranged in a continuous spiral. What is that? Coil. An electrical circuit which creates an audible sound. Audio circuit. 7. A wire or object that stops or slows down the flow of electrical current through it. Resistor. The last one, a system which uses a coil or coils as both transmitter and receiver. Pulse induction technology. Great. Today we will study the past continuous tense. The past continuous uses was, were, plus ing form of the verb. For example, the passenger was walking through the security checkpoint. The past continuous is used to talk about situations in progress in the past. It is often combined with a past simple for a shorter action, using while, when, or as. Let's have a look at these two examples. When, while, as, his case was going through the X-ray machine, he walked through the WTMD. Let's have a look at the second example. He walked through the WTMD while, when, as, his case was going through the X-ray machine. Let's study these two examples carefully together. When, as you can see here, when, while, and as in the beginning of the sentence. What tense comes after them? Good. Past continuous. Was plus verb plus ing. Comma. The second sentence. What is the tense in the second sentence? The tense in the second sentence is past simple. Walked. Now let's move to the second example. The second example is the same as the first example, but in this case we use when, while, and as in the middle of the sentence. So when, while, when, as come in the middle of the sentence, what comes after them, before them? What tense? Past simple. And what tense comes after them? Great. Past progressive or past continuous. Great. Now, let's have a look at this rule. In the next two examples, the short action was sudden or interrupted the situation in progress. You can use while, when, or as with the situation in progress. You can only use when with the short action. Let's study the two examples here. While, when, or as in the beginning of the sentence, and the tense after them is was going. This is past simple, past progressive or past continuous. Then the second sentence will be in the past simple. Can we use when, while, as in the middle of the sentence? No. In this sentence, only we can use when in the middle of the sentence. We can't use while or as. So, in the sentence, when come in the middle of the sentence, the tense before it will be past continuous or past progressive, and the tense after it will be past simple. His case was going through the X-ray when the alarm sounded. Let's study this rule. In the next example, two situations were in progress. So, in the same period of time. It's possible to use when here, but you usually use while or as to emphasize the element of progression. Let's have a look at this example. Here, while or as his cases were going through the X-ray machine, the officials were studying the screen. Here we have two situations or two actions happening at the same time. So here we use past progressive, as you can see, and the second tense will be past progressive and or past continuous. Okay. Now let's study the language box in page 55, the language section. Language situation in progress. If the situation is in progress, we use while, when, or as. His case study was going through the X-ray machine. The alarm sounded. Or we can say that his case was going through the X-ray machine when the alarm sounded. Okay. Situation in progress. While or as the cases were going through the X-ray machine, the officials were studying the screen. Two situations here in progress. Now, please, let's move to exercise 6. Make similar sentences from these notes. And here we have an example, sentence number 1 and number 2. While Tom, let's read first number 1, from 8:13 to 8:32, Team A search for man. From 8:13 to 8:32, Team B look for bag. What do you think? Two situations were in progress. So while Team A were searching for the man, Team B were looking for the bag. Let's have a look at the second example. From 14:39 to 14:41, officials look at passenger. From 14:41, the passenger runs away. The official was looking at the passenger when he ran away. So please, take your time to answer the rest of the sentence from sentence 3 to 8. And when you finish, please play the video again to check your answer. You can write your answers in your notebook and you can start now. Now let's check your answers. Number 1, we did number 1. While or as Team A were searching for the man, Team B were looking for the bag. Also, we answered number 2. The official was looking at the passenger when he ran away, or we can say it in another way. While the official was looking at the passenger, he ran away. Now number 3. While or as the passengers were leaving the plane, the staff were taking the bags of the plane. Number 4. The police were patrolling Terminal 1 when they suddenly saw the thief. Or, while or as the police were patrolling Terminal 1, they suddenly saw the thief. Number 5. The passenger became ill while or as flight BA455 was taking off. Or we can use here while or as in the beginning of the sentence. While or as flight BA455 was taking off, the passenger became ill. Next. While or as KL203 was landing, flight JL111 was taking off. 7. While or as the passengers were waiting in the terminal, the plane left with no one on board. Or we can say it in another way. The plane left with no one on board while or as the passengers were waiting in the terminal. The last sentence. The security incident happened while or as thousands of people were using the airport. Or we can use it in another way. We can say or write it in another way. While or as thousands of people were using the airport, the security incident happened. Great. Now please open your workbook, page 35, exercise number 3. In this exercise, you have to underline the correct alternative in these sentences. There may be more than one possible answer. You can choose as or while. Here in this sentence, number 1, we can choose both of them. We can say as the pilot was preparing to land, or while the pilot was preparing to land. Your turn now is to stop the video and try to choose the correct answer. And remember, you can choose more than one. When you finish, please play the video again to check your answers. Now let's check your answers. Number 2. The plane was flying while or when the mobile phone was seeking. Here we have two actions happening in the same time. So we can't use when here. We have to use while only. The pilot approached the runway while or as the mobile phone was causing interference. We can use both of them here. While or when the plane was waiting on the runway, a warning signal sounded. What do you think? We can use both of them. While, we can say while the plane was waiting, or we can say when the plane was waiting. Another plane was taking off when or as the shaker signal in the cockpit started to operate. Which one will use, or you will use both of them? Only we can use here when. Okay? Because it is followed by the past symbol. When or while the Boeing 737 was flying, a passenger was using his mobile phone. What do you think? Great. Only we can use here while. Great. Now, this is an important section. Do as shown between brackets. Look at the two sentences here and try to answer them in your notebook. When you finish, please play the video again to check your answer. While the passengers check in, the ground crew was refueling the Airbus. You have to correct the verb between brackets here. In the second sentence, you have to join the two sentences using while. And I wrote while here in the beginning of the sentence. Take your time. You can start now. Welcome back, my dear students. Now let's check your answer. Number 1, while the passenger. Remember here, we have while here in the beginning of the sentence. So the verb here must be in the past continuous. So we will add was or were in front of it. And we will add ing at the end of the verb. The passengers is a plural noun. So we will use was or were. Great. We will use were. Were checking. The passengers were checking in. The ground crew was refueling the Airbus. Here in this sentence, we have to join using while. The Airbus passengers were waiting in the departure lounge. they heard that their flight was cancelled. So all you have to do is to put while in front of the first sentence, and you have to remove the full stop and replace it with a comma. The right answer is, while the Airbus passengers were waiting in the departure lounge, they heard that their flight was cancelled. Great job, my dear students. This is the end of our lesson. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Till we meet again in a new lesson, goodbye.